So we're back in module 3B. We will continue to discuss managing or management skills, self-management and relationship management skills as it relates to the common thoughts, interactions, mindsets, and emotions associated with self-care. Self-care is a part of your social emotional wellness. So what are some common thoughts associated with your self-care as it relates to management? Thoughts. These are ideas or pictures you have in your mind. They are at the root of your behaviors, attitudes, and emotions. What are your thoughts about managing your self-care plan? You may say, oh, why are we going over the same process? Well, it is the same process, but there's some differences and you have to pay attention. So what are your thoughts? What are your ideas about managing your self-care plan in virtual instructional spaces? You know, many times people think that self-care is selfish, but I am here to tell you that self-care is not selfish. It is an ethical responsibility. I will go back to what Dr. Bruce Perry said. In order for children experience balance in their lives, they must be engaged in healthy relationships, healthy adult relationships. And you can only have healthy adult relationships when you have healthy adults. That's a critical piece about self-care. Self-care, managing your self-care plan. Do you have a self-care plan? We're going to talk about you getting one of those. Then behaviors are influenced by what you are thinking. How has managing your interactions changed while navigating self-care in virtual instructional spaces? What have you been doing? What are some behaviors you've adopted that are helpful or healthy? And what are some practices and activities that you are engaging in that may not be productive or helpful to your well-being? How are you managing that? Common mindsets associated with self-care, attitudes or mindsets are formed as a result of persistent, dominant, and recurring thoughts. What are some self-care strategies you have used to manage your mindsets while navigating within virtual instructional spaces? Remember, one thought in our how we visualize this, a thought is like a grape, a cluster of grapes as a mindset. Common emotions associated with self-care. Feelings have no intellect. They are directly controlled by your thinking. What feelings or emotions have you experienced the most while navigating instruction in virtual spaces? And how have you utilized your self-care plan to manage your emotions? And I'm making the assumption that you have a plan. And if you don't, that's okay, because you're going to get one before you're finished with this workshop. So, as we say, feelings are like your check engine light. They are messengers bringing you a message from your brain, which is the engine. So, do not label the messenger as if something is wrong with it. Don't shoot the messenger. And also, there's a saying, don't hate the player, hate the game. Don't hate the emotions or the feelings. If you're to hate anything, hate the brain, hate what you're thinking. These are the common thoughts, interactions, mindsets, and emotions that one experiences, one has to take into consideration when you are thinking about or when you're creating a self-care plan or when you are utilizing a self-care plan that you already have. So as you engage with yourself and others, you want to learn to rumorize. So we're at step 3. And so here are some questions that you want to ask yourself as you rumorize through all your different situations and stories in life. This is a very simple, in-depth way to help you or empower you to be your own life coach and an empowered or conscious problem solver. So managing your thoughts. How do you monitor and keep in check your thoughts or ideas about yourself, others, and or your situation? How do you do that? Managing it. How do you monitor it? How do you monitor and keep in check the various ways you treat yourself, others, and or situations? Because the way you treat yourself gives the social other permission to treat you likewise. So keep that in mind. The way you treat yourself is giving the social other, meaning anybody else in your life, any of your relationships, to treat you the same way you treat yourself. All right, so managing your mindsets. How does your attitude or beliefs about yourself and others help you cope with your situation or your stories? And then we want to go to managing your emotions. How do you monitor and keep in check your feelings about yourself, others, as you go through your life circumstances or your story? Now, again, you have to be able, and you're learning this. That's why we're taking you through this process, and it seems repetitive because part of it is repetition deepens what? Impression. And so as you go through each step, the recognize step, the understand step, the manage, as you go through these and that you have these questions here that help you to move from a position of inter and intrapersonal imbalance to inter and intrapersonal balance, and from unconscious living to conscious living, you are going to be able to better manage life's situations. And when you are able to do that, then you can help the other. Okay, you can help the other. And many of you have been on planes and you've heard the flight attendant say, in case of an emergency, make sure you put your mask on first before you help somebody else. And that's because if you are not breathing properly, or if you're being bombarded by other things and not able to manage that, you can't help anybody else. Okay. You can't give water from an empty cup. So keep that in mind. And so that's it for module 3B. We're going to go now to module 3C.